Chitinous Scavenger 3's desperate lunge at Tavia Windharp misses, its jagged chitinous arms scraping harmlessly against the air. The creature snarls in frustration, its wounded form trembling. With no other options, it backs away slightly, its turn ending with a whimper. CRENSHAW Daggerheart is up next. You attempt to move stealthily, CRENSHAW Daggerheart. Roll a stealth check. With a practiced grace, you melt into the shadows, CRENSHAW Daggerheart. Your movements are silent, your form a fleeting whisper in the dim alley. The chitinous scavengers, focused on Tavia, remain oblivious to your repositioning. You are now even more effectively hidden. What would you like to do next? Crouching low, you stalk Chitinous Scavenger 3, your twin stinger knives glinting faintly in the gloom. With a surge of adrenaline, you burst from cover, aiming for a swift and decisive strike against its vulnerable back. Make your attack roll with advantage. With a swift and silent motion, you strike Chitinous Scavenger 3 from behind, your twin stinger knives flashing in the dim light. The creature lets out a pained yelp as your blades find their mark. Now, roll for damage. With a final, desperate gasp, Chitinous Scavenger 3 collapses to the ground, its chitinous shell cracking as it hits the alley floor. It is defeated. Is there anything else you'd like to do on your turn, CRENSHAW Daggerheart? If not, please click your End Turn button.
With lightning-fast speed eye stealth back into the nearby alleyway, observing the battle from the outside.
You deftly slip back into the shadows of the alleyway, CRENSHAW Daggerheart, your movements as fluid as smoke. From your new vantage point, you can observe the remaining scavengers and the ongoing skirmish with Tavia Windharp. Is there anything else you'd like to do on your turn? If not, please click your End Turn button. Tavia's arrow whizzes past Chitinous Scavenger 2, missing its mark as the creature deftly sidesteps the incoming projectile. Despite her quick repositioning, she took a painful jab from Chitinous Scavenger 2 during her move, taking 10 piercing damage. She holds her ground, bow at the ready, assessing the situation. Next, I'll run Chitinous Scavenger 2's turn. Chitinous Scavenger 2's Chitinous Jab slams into Tavia Windharp, a critical hit that pierces her armor for 7 points of piercing damage. Despite the brutal blow, Tavia manages to grit her teeth and successfully makes her DC 11 Constitution saving throw, narrowly avoiding being stunned. Next, I'll run Chitinous Scavenger 1's turn. Chitinous Scavenger 1's Chitinous Jab strikes Tavia Windharp for 10 points of piercing damage, a brutal blow that brings her to 0 hit points, rendering her unconscious. Tavia Windharp successfully made her DC 11 Constitution saving throw, narrowly avoiding being stunned. Next up is CRENSHAW Daggerheart. CRENSHAW Daggerheart, you attempt to melt further into the shadows, hoping to remain unseen by the Chitinous Scavengers. Roll a stealth check. CRENSHAW Daggerheart's attempt to sneak past the Chitinous Scavengers was almost successful, but a faint rustling of fabric caught the attention of Chitinous Scavenger 1, who turned towards you, its cold, dead eyes scanning the area. CRENSHAW Daggerheart, you managed to roll a total of 10 on your stealth check. While you didn't quite succeed in remaining completely unnoticed, you were able to maintain your cover for now. However, Chitinous Scavenger 1 is now on high alert, its gaze fixed intently on the spot where it thinks it saw movement. You need to act quickly to avoid being detected. CRENSHAW Daggerheart, that's an ambitious move. To clarify, you want to 1. Jump off the roof, 2. Move behind Chitinous Scavenger 1-3, stab Chitinous Scavenger 1 with your twin stinger knives, 4. Throw sand in Chitinous Scavenger 1's eyes, 5. Run back to your rooftop vantage point. Could you confirm your starting position and where you want to jump to, and then where you want to move behind Chitinous Scavenger 1? Also, please confirm if you are using your full movement and if you are using your dash action. Once we confirm the movement, we can proceed with the attack and the sand throw. Okay, CRENSHAW Daggerheart, you're currently at 4-13. Chitinous Scavenger 1 is at 10-10. To get behind Chitinous Scavenger 1, you'll need to move. Jumping off the roof and getting behind Chitinous Scavenger 1 will take some movement. Since you want to get back to your rooftop vantage point, that will also take movement. Let's break this down. 1. Jump off the roof. Where exactly do you want to land? Do you want to land directly adjacent to Chitinous Scavenger 1 or further away? 2. Move behind Chitinous Scavenger 1. Once you've landed, what specific tile do you want to move to that is behind Chitinous Scavenger 1? 3. Stab them. This will be an attack. 4. Throw sand. This will likely be an action. 5. Run back to your rooftop vantage point. This will take... Understood. All right, Crenshaw Daggerheart. You're currently at 4, 13, and Chitinous Scavenger 1 is at 10, 10. To sneak up behind them and stab them, you'll need to move. Your twin stinger knives are melee weapons, and Chitinous Scavenger 1 is currently 33 feet away, which is out of your melee range. Do you want to use your movement to get within melee range of Chitinous Scavenger 1? If so, where exactly do you want to move to? All right, Crenshaw Daggerheart. You're currently at 4-13 and Chitinous Scavenger 1 is at 10-10. To sneak up behind them and stab them, you'll need to move. Your twin stinger knives are melee weapons, and Chitinous Scavenger 1 is currently 33 feet away, which is out of your melee range. Do you want to use your movement to get within melee range of Chitinous Scavenger 1? If so, where exactly do you want to move to? Okay, Crenshaw Daggerheart, you have 30 feet of movement. Chitinous Scavenger 1 is at 10-10. To get behind them, let's say you move to 10-9. This would put you 25 feet away, leaving you 5 feet of movement. Does that sound right? Or would you prefer a different position? Crenshaw Daggerheart, you deftly move to 9-10, positioning yourself perfectly behind Chitinous Scavenger 1. Now, with the element of surprise, prepare to strike. I've sent you a roll request for a melee attack with advantage. Go ahead and click the button to roll. Crenshaw Daggerheart, you've struck true. Now, let's see how much damage you've dealt. Please roll for damage using your twin stinger knives. Crenshaw Daggerheart, your twin stinger knives find their mark, dealing a solid 8 points of piercing damage to Chitinous Scavenger 1. It reels from the unexpected blow. Is there anything else you'd like to do on your turn? If not, please click your End Turn button. Crenshaw Daggerheart, you are currently adjacent to Chitinous Scavenger 1 and Chitinous Scavenger 2. If you move away, they will have an opportunity to make an attack against you. Do you still wish to proceed with your movement? Crenshaw Daggerheart, you try to slip away, but the Chitinous Scavengers are quick. Both lash out with opportunity attacks. Chitinous Scavenger 1's attack misses you as you dart into the shadows. Chitinous Scavenger 2's attack also misses as you continue your retreat. You move to 910. You've used all of your movement for this turn. Is there anything else you'd like to do, or would you like to use your dash action to move further? If not, please click your End Turn button. Tavia Windharp lets out a shallow, ragged breath, a faint tremor running through her still form. Though unconscious, a flicker of life persists. She remains at 0 hit points, and the grim count of her death saves now stands at 1 success and 0 failures. It's Chitinous Scavenger 2's turn next. The chitinous shiv of Chitinous Scavenger 2 slams into Tavia Windharp, a brutal, critical hit that deals 5 piercing damage. The blow is devastating, and Tavia's body remains still, now accumulating 2 death save failures. Next, I'll run Chitinous Scavenger 1's turn. Chitinous Scavenger 1's shiv scrapes harmlessly against the ground next to Tavia Windharp, missing its mark. The creature snarls in frustration, its attempt to finish off the unconscious foe thwarted. With no further actions, its turn comes to an end. Crenshaw Daggerheart, still invisible, is up next. Crenshaw Daggerheart, you attempt to move stealthily. Roll a stealth check. Understood, Crenshaw. You didn't make a stealth check. What would you like to do instead? Crenshaw Daggerheart, with the advantage of invisibility, you move to strike Chitinous Scavenger 1. Roll your melee attack with advantage. Your twin stinger knives find their mark. Roll 1d4 piercing damage, adding your dexterity modifier. Your twin stinger knives sink into Chitinous Scavenger 1, dealing 6 piercing damage. It hisses in pain, clearly wounded. Is there anything else you'd like to do on your turn? If not, please click your End Turn button. Tavia Windharp lets out a shallow, ragged breath, a flicker of movement in her hand betraying the slightest spark of life. She remains unconscious, her fate still hanging in the balance. It's Chitinous Scavenger 2's turn next. Chitinous Scavenger 2's chitinous jab misses Crenshaw Daggerheart, who remains unseen and unharmed. The creature hisses in frustration, its attack glancing off empty air. Next, I'll run Chitinous Scavenger 1's turn. Chitinous Scavenger 1's furious jab, the invisible Crenshaw Daggerheart, slices through empty air, missing its mark entirely. The creature snarls in frustration as the rogue remains elusive. Crenshaw Daggerheart is up next. You deftly move behind Chitinous Scavenger 1, preparing to strike with your twin stinger knives, aiming for a vulnerable spot. Simultaneously, you scoop up a handful of dirt, intending to blind Chitinous Scavenger 2 with a swift throw. Please roll a melee attack with advantage against Chitinous Scavenger 1, and a dexterity check against DC 13 to throw dirt in the eyes of Chitinous Scavenger 2. You expertly fling dirt into Chitinous Scavenger 2's eyes, causing it to reel back, momentarily blinded and disoriented. It will have disadvantage on its next attack roll and wisdom, perception, checks. Now, please roll your melee attack with advantage against Chitinous Scavenger 1. You strike with your twin stinger knives at Chitinous Scavenger 1. Please click the melee attack button on your screen to roll with advantage. With your attack roll of 16, you successfully strike Chitinous Scavenger 1. Now, please roll for damage with your twin stinger knives. Your twin stinger knives find their mark, dealing 6 piercing damage to Chitinous Scavenger 1, leaving it visibly wounded. Is there anything else you'd like to do on your turn? If not, please click your End Turn button. Tavia Windharp struggles against the darkness, a shallow breath escaping your lips. Your eyes flutter open, the world slowly coming into focus. You are alive, but still weak. It's Chitinous Scavenger 2's turn next. Chitinous Scavenger 2's attacks, Hampered by the dirt in its eyes, both miss Tavia Windharp, who narrowly avoids the chitinous jab and the bone shiv. Next, I'll run Chitinous Scavenger one's turn. Chitinous Scavenger one's initial jab missed Tavia Windharp, but the follow-up strike with its bone shiv found its mark, piercing into the already weakened adventurer. Tavia Windharp takes 1 piercing damage, bringing her to 0 HP and causing her to fall unconscious, incurring her first death save failure. Crenshaw Daggerheart is up next. You attempt to strike Chitinous Scavenger one with your twin stinger knives from behind, aiming for a swift, decisive blow. Roll with advantage due to being invisible. Your strike lands. Now roll for damage with your twin stinger knives. Your twin stinger knives connect with Chitinous Scavenger one, dealing a precise 7 points of piercing damage. The creature stumbles, clearly wounded and reeling from the unexpected assault. It is currently Tavia Windharp's turn. Is there anything else you'd like to do on your turn? If not, please click your End Turn button. Tavia Windharp's breath hitches, a shallow, ragged sound that barely escapes her lips. Her eyes flutter, but remain closed, and a faint tremor runs through her limbs. The light in them seems to dim further, a worrying sign for those who can see. She remains unconscious at 0 HP, her condition precarious. It's Chitinous Scavenger 2's turn next. Chitinous Scavenger 2's chitinous jab misses Crenshaw Daggerheart, its vision still obscured. The creature snarls in frustration, unable to land a blow on the elusive foe. Next, I'll run Chitinous Scavenger one's turn. Chitinous Scavenger one's bone shiv attack against Tavia Windharp misses, clattering harmlessly against the ground next to her unconscious form. The creature snarls in frustration, unable to land the killing blow. It is now Crenshaw Daggerheart's turn.
I again attack Scavenger 1 from behind.
Crenshaw Daggerheart, you are still invisible, granting you advantage on your attack roll against Chitinous Scavenger, one with your twin stinger knives. Roll to attack. Your twin stinger knives find their mark, Crenshaw. Now, roll for damage against Chitinous Scavenger 1. Your twin stinger knives sink deep into Chitinous Scavenger 1, dealing 8 piercing damage. The creature hisses, clearly wounded, but still stands. Is there anything else you'd like to do on your turn? If not, please click your End Turn button. Tavia Windharp struggles, her shallow breaths coming in ragged gasps, a faint tremor running through her limbs. Despite the brutal assault, a flicker of life remains. She remains unconscious at 0 hit points and must continue making death-saving throws on her turn. It's Chitinous Scavenger 2's turn next. Chitinous Scavenger 2's Chitinous Jab strikes Crenshaw Daggerheart for 10 piercing damage, a painful blow that causes Crenshaw to wince. However, Crenshaw Daggerheart successfully resists the stunning effect with a Constitution saving throw, shrugging off the potential incapacitation. Next, I'll run Chitinous Scavenger 1's turn. Chitinous Scavenger 1's desperate lunge at Tavia Windharp misses its mark, the chitinous jab glancing harmlessly off the ground beside her. The scavenger snarls in frustration, its opportunity slipping away. Next up in the turn order is Crenshaw Daggerheart. Crenshaw Daggerheart, you lunge back, aiming a precise stab with your twin stinger knives for the kidney of Chitinous Scavenger 1. Roll with advantage due to the scavenger being prone. Your lunging stab with the twin stinger knives at Chitinous Scavenger 1, even with your precise aim, narrowly misses its mark. The scavenger, despite being prone, manages to twist just enough to avoid the deadly blow. It seems your luck hasn't quite turned yet. Is there anything else you'd like to do on your turn? If not, please click your End Turn button. You attempt to help Tavia Windharp up, Crenshaw. Make a medicine check to stabilize her and get her back on her feet. With a steady hand and a keen eye, you quickly assess Tavia's condition and apply some swift first aid. Her eyes flutter open, and she takes a ragged breath, no longer prone or unconscious. She's still gravely injured, but she's no longer on the brink of death. Is there anything else you'd like to do on your turn? If not, please click your End Turn button. As Tavia attempted to create distance, Chitinous Scavenger 1 seized the moment, lunging with a chitinous jab that struck true. The attack dealt 7 piercing damage, and with a gasp, Tavia Windharp collapsed, now unconscious. Next, I'll run Chitinous Scavenger 2's turn. Chitinous Scavenger 2's wild flailing with its bone shiv misses Crenshaw Daggerheart entirely, the invisible foe remaining elusive. The scavenger, still hindered by the dirt in its eyes, can't pinpoint Crenshaw's location and ends its turn in frustration. Next, I'll run Chitinous Scavenger 1's turn. Chitinous Scavenger 1, having narrowly avoided Crenshaw's opportunity attack, continues to scuttle away, its desperate retreat concluding its turn. Next up is Crenshaw Daggerheart. Crenshaw, you are currently 30 feet away from Chitinous Scavenger 1, which is out of range for a melee attack with your twin stinger knives. Do you want to move closer to attack, or would you like to try a ranged attack? Chitinous Scavenger 1 is currently at 10, 16. Moving behind them would put you at 10, 15, or 11, 16, or 9, 16. However, you are currently adjacent to Chitinous Scavenger 1, and moving away would provoke an opportunity attack from them. Do you still wish to move? With a powerful strike, Crenshaw, you aim your twin stinger knives at the throat of Chitinous Scavenger 1. Roll to attack with advantage, as you are invisible. Your strike is true, Crenshaw. The twin stinger knives find their mark, and Chitinous Scavenger 1 collapses lifeless. Is there anything else you'd like to do on your turn? If not, please click your End Turn button. Crenshaw Daggerheart, you dash towards Tavia Windharp, your footsteps echoing through the alley. You quickly kneel beside her, assessing her condition. With a gentle touch, you begin to administer your medicine skill to stabilize her once more. Roll the medicine check to see how successful you are. You deftly apply your medical knowledge, Crenshaw, and successfully stabilize Tavia Windharp. Her breathing evens out, and a faint flush returns to her cheeks. She's no longer bleeding out. Is there anything else you'd like to do on your turn? If not, please click your End Turn button. You deliver a rousing speech to Tavia, her eyes still closed but a faint smile gracing her lips. Hold strong, Tavia. We'll finish this, you exclaim. Is there anything else you'd like to do on your turn? If not, please click your End Turn button. Tavia, still reeling from her wounds, quickly shifts her focus. She whispers an ancient elven incantation, and a soft, green glow emanates from her outstretched hand, enveloping her. A little healing never hurt anyone. We're not out of this yet. Tavia's turn concludes with a flurry of action. She deftly dodged the Chitinous Scavenger's opportunity attack, then landed a precise arrow shot, dealing 12 piercing damage to the creature, which recoiled with a pained screech. Following her attack, a soft green light enveloped her, and she visibly recovered some of her strength, gaining 10 hit points. Next, I'll run Chitinous Scavenger 2's turn. The Chitinous Scavenger 2's jab, hindered by the dirt in its eyes, wildly misses Tavia Windharp, leaving the creature exposed for a moment. Its turn concludes without landing a blow. Next up is CRENSHAW Daggerheart. You declare, "This is it, LETS, finish this," to Tavia. With a swift, silent movement, you attempt to meld into the darkness, intending to slip behind Chitinous Scavenger 2 and deliver a precise blow to its neck. As you move, the Chitinous Scavenger 2 makes an opportunity attack, but it misses. Now, make your attack roll against Chitinous Scavenger 2 with advantage, due to your invisibility. Your twin stinger knives find their mark, dealing 7 piercing damage to Chitinous Scavenger 2. The invisibility you held shimmers and fades as you strike. Is there anything else you'd like to do on your turn? If not, please click your End Turn button. I'm a bit banged up, but I can still help. A quick heal for myself, and then I'll be back in the fight. Tavia Windharp quickly brings her hands together, a soft green glow emanating from them as she murmurs an incantation. The light envelops her, mending some of her wounds. Tavia Windharp's wounds mend as the soft green light fades, bringing her HP back up to 17. With a renewed sense of vigor, she prepares for the next challenge. Next, I'll run Chitinous Scavenger 2's turn. Chitinous Scavenger 2's desperate jab misses CRENSHAW Daggerheart, its chitinous limb scraping harmlessly against the air as CRENSHAW deftly avoids the attack. The scavenger, still hampered by the dirt in its eyes, looks frustrated but remains defiant. CRENSHAW Daggerheart, it's your turn next. CRENSHAW Daggerheart, you are currently adjacent to Chitinous Scavenger 2, and moving away would provoke an opportunity attack. Are you sure you wish to proceed with this movement? With a flurry of backflips, you appear behind Chitinous Scavenger 1, your twin stinger knives glinting in the dim light. You have advantage on this attack due to being unseen. Roll your attack with advantage. Your twin stinger knives find their mark, dealing 8 piercing damage to Chitinous Scavenger 2. It's looking gravely injured, barely clinging to life. Is there anything else you'd like to do on your turn? If not, please click your End Turn button. The alley falls silent, save for the ragged breathing of the remaining scavengers and the faint, unsettling drip, drip, drip of something unseen in the shadows. Chitinous Scavenger 2, the one Crenshaw struck down, lies still, its crude weapon clattering against the grimy cobblestones. The brief, desperate skirmish is over as quickly as it began. The two remaining scavengers, their eyes wide with a mix of fear and renewed hunger, look from their fallen companion to you both, then back into the deeper, darker reaches of the alley. The leader, his bravado momentarily shattered, lets out a guttural cry, and with a sudden burst of speed, turns and flees into the labyrinthine shadows, his last companion scrambling after him. They disappear as quickly as they appeared, leaving only the lingering stench of fear and the metallic tang of fresh blood in the air. Tavia lowers her short sword, a slight frown creasing her brow as she watches them vanish.
Well, that was decisive. A shame they didn't listen to reason. Are you all right, Crenshaw? A few scratches, perhaps.
She glances at the fallen scavenger, then back at you, her gaze assessing.
Right then, that's dealt with. Now about finding that bounty. This alley might be clear, but I doubt it's a good place to linger.
She gestures towards the direction they were originally heading.
Still want to try asking around in the darker corners? Or did that little interruption change your mind about our approach?
Tavia nods, her gaze sweeping over the alleyway.
Good idea, Crenshaw. Always best to tie up loose ends and secure any advantages.
She approaches the fallen scavenger, her movements quick and efficient. She quickly pats down its ragged clothing, finding a few copper pieces and a crudely fashioned bone knife. She then turns her attention to the other two who fled. Peering into the shadows they disappeared into.
They ran deeper into the maze. I doubt they'll be back anytime soon, but it's always wise to be cautious.
She then looks at you, her expression shifting from practical assessment to a more concerned tone.
You're right, we both took a beating. This alley isn't exactly the Ritz. Let's see if we can find a quieter spot to patch ourselves up and plan our next move. Perhaps somewhere with fewer, unwelcome guests.
She glances back at the spindle, the distant sounds of its bustle a stark contrast to the grim alley.
Do you have any particular area in mind for finding a safe haven? Or should we just try to find a less conspicuous side street, away from the main thoroughfares?
After a considerable trek, you find yourselves on the outskirts of Odrun Fell. The air grows cooler, carrying the scent of damp earth and distant, untamed growth as you move away from the city's oppressive embrace. The terrain begins to flatten, and the imposing, organic architecture of the Great Club gradually recedes in the distance. Ahead, you can make out the gentle undulation of fields, interspersed with the glint of water. Tavia, ever observant, points to a wide, slow-moving river that snakes through the landscape, its banks lined with reeds and the occasional gnarled tree. To your right, the vast expanse of the barley fields stretches out, a carefully cultivated ecosystem teeming with life, though the tendrils of its protective wards and patrols are evident even from this distance. The coordinates you sought place you in a secluded bend of the river, a small clearing shielded by dense undergrowth and the natural barrier of the water.
This looks promising.
Tavia murmurs, her gaze sweeping the surroundings.
The river should keep most unwelcome visitors at bay, and the fields are far enough that their tenders won't be bothering us. We can set up a decent camp here. Still, it's always wise to be vigilant, especially with what we've been through.
She glances at your wounds, then at the setting sun, which casts long shadows across the land.
Let's get a fire going before it gets completely dark. Do you want to gather some firewood while I scout for a good spot to make camp, or would you prefer to rest for a moment?
With a nod, Tavia melts into the tree line, her movements as silent as a whisper on the wind. You turn your attention to gathering firewood. The area around the riverbend offers a decent amount of dry branches and fallen twigs, the remnants of past seasons. As you gather the wood, you can hear the gentle lapping of the river against the bank and the distant chirping of unseen insects. The sky above is beginning to deepen from a pale blue to hues of orange and purple as the sun dips lower. After a short while, you return to the clearing with an armful of wood. Tavia reappears from the trees, a satisfied look on her face.
Found a good spot.
She says, pointing to a small, sheltered alcove formed by a cluster of large rocks, a short distance from the river.
It'll offer some protection from the wind, and it's well out of sight from the path. I also noticed some edible berries nearby, not much, but enough for a light meal.
She then gestures towards the wood you've collected.
Let's get that fire going. I'll get us some water from the river.
As you begin to arrange the firewood in the alcove, Tavia heads towards the riverbank. The air grows cooler, and the sounds of the wilderness begin to take on a more prominent role. What do you do while Tavia is getting water?
I start the fire and start prepping the meat and edible mushrooms and herbs I gathered today. In the spindle, I take a whiff of the herbs and fresh meat. It smells delicious. It smells of pepper, garlic, and salt. I lick my lips and begin salivating over the steak.
As you arrange the wood and strike a spark, the first tendrils of flame begin to lick at the dry tinder. The scent of burning wood soon mingles with the savory aroma of the spiced boar loin and the earthy notes of the mushrooms and herbs you gathered. You expertly slice the boar loin, the spices releasing a pungent, mouth-watering fragrance into the cool evening air. You prepare the mushrooms and herbs, ready to be cooked alongside the meat. Tavia returns from the river, a waterskin slung over her shoulder. She pauses, sniffing the air appreciatively.
That smells incredible, Crenshaw. You certainly know how to make a meal out of provisions.
She watches for a moment as you tend to the nascent fire and the food.
It's good to have a moment of peace after all that, though I can't help but feel a bit on edge. This place. It feels quiet, but not entirely safe. The barley fields are so close, and they guard their territory fiercely. And who knows what else lurks in the shadows beyond the river.
She then offers you the water skin.
Here, take a drink. We'll need our wits about us, even while we're resting.
The fire begins to crackle more robustly, casting dancing shadows on the rock face of your makeshift campsite. The scent of cooking meat and herbs fills the air, a welcome contrast to the day's events. What do you do next?
I say, I agree we deserve this meal after everything we went through today. Let's just eat and have some water before we move on to a safer place to camp. Or we can wander back to town and get a room in the inn. It's up to you, Tavia.
Tavia watches the flames dance, her expression thoughtful as she accepts the water skin and takes a long drink. The aroma of the cooking boar loin is indeed enticing, a small comfort after the adrenaline of the alley fight. She offers the water skin back to you.
A room in town does sound tempting.
She admits, her gaze drifting back towards the distant lights of Odrun Fell.
Especially after that business negotiation.
A faint smile touches her lips at the memory of your quick thinking.
But then again, this spot offers a certain privacy. And who knows what sort of business we might stumble into if we return to the spindle too soon.
She gestures to the sizzling boar loin, which is beginning to brown nicely over the flames.
Let's enjoy this meal at least. We can decide then. The Burrowlight Hearth, perhaps, it's a bit of a trek, but it's known for being a safe haven.
She eyes the meat, then you.
Are you going to share that feast, or are you planning on keeping it all to yourself?
I jokingly say, "No, it's all mine. Enjoy those berries you're so fond of." Winking and smiling, I am just kidding, of course. Help yourself after you're done eating. Let's pack up and head over to the Burrowlight Hearth for a long rest.
Tavia laughs, a bright, clear sound that cuts through the evening quiet.
Oh, you charmer.
She teases, reaching for a piece of the boar loin as it finishes sizzling. She takes a bite, her eyes closing briefly in appreciation.
That is truly something. You've outdone yourself, Crenshaw.
She then plucks a few of the nearby berries and pops them into her mouth, her expression one of simple contentment. As you both eat, the fire crackles merrily, casting a warm glow on your faces. The sounds of the wilderness seem to recede, replaced by the comfortable silence of shared sustenance. Once the last morsels are gone, and the fire has been sufficiently banked to leave only glowing embers, Tavia stands and stretches.
All right.
She says, clapping her hands together lightly.
The Burrowlight Hearth it is. It's a bit of a walk, but a warm bed and a quiet night are certainly worth it. Let's pack up what we can and make tracks before the moon is too high.
She gestures towards the path leading away from the river, back towards the general direction of Odrun Fell, though veering away from the spindle. The journey will take some time, and the darkness will soon envelop the land. Do you have any final preparations before you set off? Tavia nods, a small, genuine smile gracing her lips as she listens to the night's chorus.
Indeed, a moment's peace is a precious thing.
She surveys the path ahead, her keen eyes already scanning the terrain in the fading light.
The Burrowlight Hearth isn't too far, but the path can be uneven in places. Stick close and try not to stumble.
With a final glance at the banked embers, Tavia turns and begins to move with a quiet grace, her form quickly becoming one with the deepening shadows. She picks up a brisk pace, her movements fluid and sure-footed, navigating the subtle dips and rises of the land with practiced ease. The journey towards the inn has begun. Tavia chuckles softly, her voice carrying on the night air.
Patience, Crenshaw, we're making good time, but the Burrowlight Hearth isn't just around the next bend. Think of it as a gentle stroll, not a sprint.
She pauses, listening intently to the sounds around you.
Besides, the night air is clear, and the path is relatively safe from here. We'll be there before you know it. Just keep an eye out for any unusual rustling in the undergrowth.
She continues to lead the way, her steps light and sure. The faint glow of the burrow-like larvae, even from this distance, is a welcoming beacon. The path winds through sparser patches of trees now, with the open fields of the barleys visible in the distance under the moonlight. The air here is cooler, carrying the scent of damp earth and something faintly herbal. Suddenly, Tavia halts, holding up a hand. Her head cocks to the side, listening.
Hold on, did you hear that?
Tavia holds her breath, her gaze fixed on a dense patch of bushes about 30 yards to your left, just beyond the edge of the faint game trail you're following. The moonlight casts long, distorted shadows, making it difficult to discern much detail. After a moment, she whispers,
It sounded like a rustle, too deliberate for the wind, and maybe a soft click like bone on stone. Stay low.
"Please roll a perception check." Your ears strain, trying to pick out the subtle sound over the chirping of crickets and the distant croaking of frogs. You can hear the faint whisper of wind through the sparse trees and the soft crunch of your own boots on the path. Tavia's ears, however, are clearly more attuned. She remains frozen, her eyes narrowed in concentration. Suddenly, a twig snaps with surprising loudness from the direction Tavia indicated. It's followed by a low, guttural hiss, a sound that sends a shiver down your spine. The bushes rustle more violently now, and you can make out the distinct impression of something low to the ground, moving with unnatural speed.
There.
Tavia whispers urgently, her hand instinctively going to the hilt of her knife.
It's moving towards us.
Tavia immediately reacts, her lithe form melting into the shadows of the larger bushes near the path. She gestures for you to follow, her movements economical and silent. The rustling in the undergrowth grows louder, accompanied by a series of sharp, wet clicks. You can now discern the shape of something low and hunched moving through the brush, its form indistinct in the dim light. As you dive into the cover of the bushes, the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves fills your nostrils. You can feel the rough bark of branches against your skin and the soft give of the soil beneath your boots. The sounds of pursuit are closer now, a steady, unnerving scuttling that seems to be closing the distance. What do you do now, hidden amongst the foliage? Tavia, already nestled amongst the thickest part of the bushes, gives you a curt nod as you slide in beside her. The scuttling sounds are now very close, accompanied by a series of wet, clicking noises that make your skin crawl. Through a gap in the leaves, you can see them, three gaunt, hunched figures, their skin a sickly grey, moving with a disturbing, jerky gait. They wear tattered rags that do little to conceal their emaciated forms, and their eyes gleam with a predatory hunger in the faint moonlight. The lead figure, larger than the others, grips a crude, sharpened bone, its tip glinting. Tavia presses herself flatter against the damp earth, her breath coming in shallow puffs. She signals with a subtle flick of her wrist, pointing towards the approaching creatures. The silence between them had weight, like diving deep underwater. The only sounds the ragged breathing of the three of you and the unnerving clicks and scuttles of the creatures closing in. One of the figures sniffs the air, its head tilting in your general direction. You press yourself low, the damp earth cool against your cheek as you inch backward, deeper into the thorny embrace of the bushes. Tavia mirrors your movements, her eyes never leaving the approaching figures. The gaunt creatures pause, their heads swiveling as if trying to pinpoint your location. One of them lets out a raspy hiss, a sound that scrapes against your nerves. With a surge of adrenaline, you push off from the undergrowth, moving with as much silence as the snapping twigs and rustling leaves will allow. Tavia is right behind you, a shadow against the deeper shadows. The creatures, momentarily confused, let out frustrated clicks and begin to move in the direction you were hiding. You break free from the cover of the bushes and into a slightly more open area, the path ahead still dimly lit by the distant glow of the burrow-light hearth. The sounds of the scavengers' pursuit seem to fade slightly as you gain a bit of distance, but you can still hear their guttural hisses, and the unnerving click of bone on stone behind you. The burrowlight hearth now appears as a soft, inviting beacon through the trees. What do you do next? Do you continue to push towards the inn, or do you try to lose your pursuers more definitively? As you sprint, you quickly kick loose stones and dead branches onto the path behind you, creating a chaotic scattering that you hope will confuse your pursuers. Tavia is a blur of motion beside you, her bow already slung across her back as she keeps pace. The sounds of the gaunt figure's pursuit seem to momentarily falter, their excited hisses replaced by confused clicks. The soft, golden-green glow of the burrowlight hearth grows steadily brighter, a welcome sight after the tense moments in the woods. You can now clearly see the inn's entrance, a wide opening framed by chitinous structures that emit a gentle, bioluminescent light. The air around you, thick with the scent of damp earth, begins to carry a faint, savory aroma, the promise of warmth and safety. You burst through the entrance of the burrowlight hearth, Tavia close on your heels. The interior is dimly lit, the walls pulsing with the soft, organic light of the burrowlight larvae. The main room is fashioned from curved beetle shell segments, creating a surprisingly warm and cocoon-like atmosphere. Herbs hang from the ceiling above a simmering stew pot, filling the air with a rich, earthy fragrance. Behind a sturdy counter made of polished bone sits a broad-shouldered half-orc, his slate-grey skin lined with faint scars. He has a barrel chest and arms like tree limbs, and he rests in a carved wheeled chair of bonewood and brass. His tusks, one cracked, the other gilded, hint at a life of hardship and resilience. He looks up from his work, his soft brown eyes holding a steady warmth as he takes in your hurried arrival.
Well now, you two look like you've seen a few too many shadows.
The half-orc says, his voice a low rumble.
Tenel Joa at your service. Come in, you're safe here. What can I get for you? A warm meal, a soft cot, or perhaps something to mend what the night has tried to break.
Tavia, catching her breath, offers a weary smile.
A meal and a quiet corner would be a blessing, Tennel. We had a bit of unwelcome company on the road.
I would love a meal and some ale, please.
Tennel nods, his gaze sweeping over both of you, taking in your disheveled state and the faint scent of the wild that clings to you. He gestures with a thick finger towards a table in a quieter corner of the inn, bathed in the soft, warm glow of the burrowlight larvae.
Right then, a hearty stew is on and the ale is fresh from the barrel. Settle yourselves, you look like you could use it.
He then turns his attention to a young half-elf woman who has emerged from a back room, wiping her hands on an apron. She has a kind face and eyes that seem to hold a touch of weariness, but she smiles warmly as she approaches your table.
I'll bring that right over for you.
Tavia says, her voice a touch softer now that the immediate danger has passed. She moves towards the counter where Tennel is already preparing 2 steaming bowls. As Tavia heads to the counter, Tennel calls out to her, his voice carrying easily across the room.
And Tavia, fetch them some of that spiced boar loin we saved. Looks like they've earned it.
He then turns back to you, a thoughtful expression on his face.
So tell me, what sort of unwelcome company did you find out there in the dark? The woods have been restless lately.
Tennell's brow furrows as he listens, his gaze thoughtful. He sets down a ladle of stew with a soft clink.
Clicking and snarling, you say, and human-like in appearance.
He taps a finger against his chin, his eyes distant for a moment.
That sounds like chitinous scavengers, nasty things they are, drawn to the scent of desperation and weakness. They usually stick to the deeper tunnels, but sometimes they venture out when prey is scarce. And brigands, you say. The roads have been getting bolder, I'm afraid. The hilt and the spindle have their share of troubles, but the wilder paths seem to be drawing more desperate elements.
He then looks directly at you, his expression serious.
You did well to make it here. This place is a sanctuary. No one bothers those under my roof.
He nods towards the table where Tavia is now placing the steaming bowls of stew and a platter with the spiced boar loin. The aroma is indeed mouth-watering, a welcome contrast to the lingering scent of fear and damp earth.
Eat up, get your strength back. You're safe now, but tell me.
Tennell leans forward slightly, his voice dropping a notch.
Were you carrying anything of particular value? Sometimes these scavengers, and the brigands too, have a reason for their aggression beyond just hunger.
Tennell nods slowly, his gaze lingering on the platter of spiced boar loin that Tavia has placed on your table.
Just meat, eh?
He says, his tone neutral, but his eyes hold a flicker of something unreadable.
Well, it's good meat. Smells like Gristle's cuts, if I'm not mistaken. He charges a pretty copper for that spiced boar. Not exactly the kind of thing you'd find a common brigand carrying, unless they were feeling particularly ambitious.
He pushes himself back slightly in his wheeled chair, his gaze now sweeping over the rest of the common room. It's sparsely populated, a few weary-looking delvers nursing drinks, a pair of heavily armored individuals quietly conversing in a corner, and the general hum of the inn.
The paths can be treacherous these days.
Tennell continues, his voice a little softer.
Especially after dark, you were wise to seek shelter here. If you're looking to stay low for a while, or perhaps find some work that doesn't involve dodging scavengers, I might have a few leads. Or perhaps you're just passing through.
Tennell Joa leans back in his chair, the wheels creaking softly on the polished bone. He strokes one of his tusks, his gaze thoughtful as he considers Crenshaw's words.
The hilt, you say, ambitious. That's where the real opportunities lie, but the risks are just as substantial. Captain Velak and the Cudgel are always looking for capable folk, especially those who know how to handle themselves in the tunnels.
He gestures around the common room.
This place
He indicates the inn with a sweep of his hand.
is for rest and recovery, but even here, whispers of jobs and potential partners can be found. Many a delve has been planned over my stew.
He pauses, his eyes meeting Crenshaw's.
If you're looking to build a party, you'll need more than just coin. You'll need trust and a shared purpose. Sometimes, the best way to find that is to take on smaller tasks first, prove yourselves. There are always those in need of discreet help, tasks that don't quite warrant a full cudgel deployment but still require a skilled hand.
Tennell then looks towards Tavia, who is discreetly observing the other patrons.
Tell me, have you two worked together long, and what kind of jobs were you hoping to find? Bounties, recoveries, or something less official?
Tenel Joa nods, his expression softening with understanding as he listens to Crenshaw's account. He pushes a bowl of stew closer to Tavia, who is already beginning to eat with evident relief.
A wise approach.
Tenel states, his voice a low rumble.
Scavengers are not to be trifled with, especially when you're outnumbered and already worn down. And the spindle alleys, they have a way of drawing trouble like flies to honey.
He glances at Tavia, who offers a small, grateful nod before returning to her meal.
For those looking to build their reputation and their coin without diving headfirst into the deepest, darkest pits, I do hear whispers.
Tenel leans, inconspiratorially.
There's a merchant, a peculiar sort named Silas, who operates out of the spindle. He's lost a shipment of rare fungi, some sort of glowing variety, that was waylaid on its journey from the outer tunnels. The promissory isn't interested, too small a matter for them, but Silas is offering a decent reward for its retrieval. It's likely guarded by something less organized than scavengers. Perhaps some of the local fauna, or maybe just opportunistic vermin. It would be a good test of your skills, and the reward would certainly help you find more capable companions.
He gestures with a thumb towards the platter of boar loin.
Eat well, you'll need your strength. If you're interested in Silas's fungi, I can give you directions to his stall in the spindle. It's not far from where you encountered your less than friendly welcome earlier.
Tenel Joa smiles, a rare but genuine expression that crinkles the corners of his eyes. He claps his hands together, the sound surprisingly loud in the relative quiet of the inn.
2 rooms it is for a long rest, you said. Excellent. We have a clean cot and a warm blanket for each of you. No need to worry about what's lurking outside these walls tonight. Rest is as vital as any potion or blade out there.
He turns and wheels himself over to a small ledger on a nearby counter, making a note.
Tavia,
He calls out to the half-elf, who is tidying up the table.
show our guests to their rooms, would you? The ones at the end of the hall. Best view of the larvae, if you like that sort of thing.
Once Tavia has acknowledged the instruction with a nod and begun to lead you away, Tenel turns his attention back to Crenshaw. He lowers his voice slightly, a more businesslike tone entering his voice.
As for Silas and his fungi, his stall is in the spindle near the eastern edge, close to Crackleline Alley. Look for the stall with the bright blue mushroom-shaped awning. He's usually there from mid-morning till dusk. He's a bit eccentric, prone to dramatic pronouncements about his wares, but he's honest enough. Just be prepared for a bit of haggling and mind the promissory agents. They keep a close eye on any unusual dealings in the spindle.
He pauses, then adds,
Don't worry about payment for the rooms tonight. Consider it a gesture of goodwill. Get yourselves rested. We can talk more about Silas in the morning, perhaps over breakfast. And if you happen to see any other delvers looking for work while you're here, send them my way. The Burrowlight Hearth always has an open door and a need for capable hands.
Teneljoa
Excellent,
offers
and
a
if you know
knowing
anyone
smile
who'd like
as
to
he wheels
join me to
himself
help
back to
get
the
back
counter.
Sela's
He dips a
mushrooms.
ladle into a nearby pot, the rich aroma of stew filling the air around you.
That's the spirit.
He says, his voice warm.
A good party is hard to find, but often forged in the fires of shared challenges. Silas's job is a good place to start. It's not overly dangerous, but it requires a bit of nerve and a keen eye. Perfect for testing potential allies.
He glances towards the common room, his gaze sweeping over the other patrons.
I'll certainly keep my ears open. There are a few regulars who frequent this establishment, always looking for their next score. A gruff old ranger named Boren sometimes stops by for a quiet drink, and a pair of nimble twins who call themselves the Whisperwings are always seeking coin for their specialized services.
Tennel sets the ladle down and picks up a piece of parchment and a charcoal stick. He begins to sketch.
For now, focus on getting some rest, but if you're serious about building a crew, I'd recommend keeping an eye out. The spindle, especially around the market stalls and the alleys, is a good place to find those who operate outside the usual guilds. Just be careful, not everyone who offers help is looking out for your best interests.
He finishes his sketch and slides the parchment across the counter towards you. It's a rough but clear map of the spindle, with a prominent X marking a spot near the blue mushroom awning.
This should get you to Silas's stall. Get some sleep and we'll talk more in the morning. And Tavia.
He calls out to the ranger, who is now tidying up your table.
Make sure they get those rooms, and perhaps a bit more of that boar loin. They earned it.